This is Middle Class Matt from don'tbuythehype.blogspot.com, and I am the Sports Genius. Tonight on Friday Night Fights on ESPN2, we had two pretty good fights. Usually you don't get two good fights on ESPN. A lot of times you don't get one good fight. But when you do get good fighters on ESPN, it's usually guys on their way up or guys on their way out. Tonight we had probably like 3 of the 4 fighters. 2 of them being on their way out, and then 1 on his way up. The first fight, we saw the veteran Jose Luis Castillo fight Ivan Popoca. Popoca was a younger fighter, 30 years old, had a pretty good record, like 15-1 I think, and then Castillo's been around forever. So they fought, and it was a very entertaining fight. I believe Castillo in his younger years would have just knocked this guy out. He hit him and hurt him in the first round, made him have rubber legs, he wobbled him. I always said, did a little dance, little jig, because he totally threw off his equilibrium with a good punch. He used his veteran, sort of threw a feint, and then hit him with, I think, a left hook, and he never saw it coming. Then in the second round, he knocked him down. So it seemed to be that he was just going to finish him. And like I said, in his younger days, Castillo, I think, just would have, this guy was a tough fighter, he would just bulldozed him. But the guy switched to southpaw, Popoca. You got to give him credit. His face was a bloody mask, red mask. He looked like the Elephant Man. And he kept fighting until they finally called the fight. And like I said, changed to southpaw and really threw Castillo off and made it a fight. But Castillo's 38 years old and kind of on his way out, but still a very entertaining fight. The next fight was the Road Warrior, the blue-collar legend, Glen Johnson. And he fought a guy who's on his way up, and that is, his name is Andrezj Fonfara. He's a much taller fighter. He's Polish descent. He's from Chicago. He was labeled at 6'2", and Johnson at 5'11". It looked like that he was 5-6 inches taller than him. Much taller. And he had a long reach. Now the announcers complained that he didn't use his reach. And they always complain that. But I always think when a long fighter uses his reach, it's smart, but it's boring. You used to watch Lennox Lewis just pound guys to death with his jab. He just would beat them. It looked like he was out there playing tennis and throwing backhands every over and over and over. Just boring. I like it when guys like Paul the Punisher and this guy get in there and fight. Even if they're at a disadvantage, at least they're getting in there and fight. It makes it interesting. So I don't complain when those guys do it, even though it might not be very smart. But he was the younger fighter, 24, only had 2 losses, had belts. That really doesn't mean anything in boxing because there's tons of belts out there. But Glen Johnson and him put on a great show. I was pulling for Glen Johnson. He's 43. He said he would retire if he got a win, so I'm hoping he gets a win. This guy's just such a blue-collar legend. He seemed to like walk right out of the construction, yard, like just right out of a construction site, and knock Roy Jones out, years ago. Roy was, the pedigree, was a great fighter with all the amateur experience, and he just seems to like, lay some brick and then come in there and knock Roy out. Now that probably wasn't the way it really happened, but it seemed that way. And I hate that he didn't wear his hard hat tonight. Glen Johnson usually wears his hard hat, and it's like, and basically brings his lunch pail to work when he goes to the ring. So I hated not to see that, considering this may be Glen Johnson's last fight. He's lost several fights recently to big names like Butte and Froch. Those guys just outclassed him. They're younger. In his young day, he might have given them a hard time. But Fonfara beat Glen Johnson, unfortunately. There was no way that Glen Johnson was going to beat him unless he knocked him out because he was in his hometown. This guy was one of these hometown heroes. They were just cheering for him, going crazy for him. He's a Polish fighter in Chicago. So there's no way he was going to win without doing that. Now, this Fonfara, I see no reason why he won't get a Showtime or an HBO fight. Now, I don't think he can beat the elite competition. I'd see him not being able to beat Carl Froch, not being able to beat Butte, not being able to even beat Kelly Pavlik, who's probably about the same height. This guy might be taller than Pavlik. He's a really tall guy for his weight division. Had a long reach. And he has no chance against Andre Ward. But he could provide a particular challenge because of his length and height. So it'll be interesting to see what he can do. But I see him not being able to beat any of the guys around his weight division that are the top-notch fighters. But he should be able to get a Showtime or an HBO fight, maybe with another win or two, or we'll see. So, pretty good night and Friday night fights. This is Middle Class Matt. I'll see you next time.